historically. Right?
What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the mother-loving Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the one-of-a-kind CultPop podcast, episode 48, a show where we talk about comics and movies and butts. You know what? You know what's great,
butts?
Brian?
What is it?
Butts.
That's all.
I didn't know that.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, branched timelines and all those other things that scratch your nerdy butts. We're coming to you live from Young Junk.
Young John.
It's better when Len's here. A bomb-ass podcast production space in Philadelphia, PA. I'm your sticky host, JD, of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA 19127. It's a rad comic shop filled with rad people that caters to you specifically. So come buy our stuff, which are generally rad. With me tonight are, hey, Dylan. I was waiting until he wasn't near his microphone. I'm a rapscallion.
What's a rapscallion?
Hey there, what's up?
That's Dylan, our producer. If anything goes wrong, Dylan did it. But more importantly, I'm here with Brian.
He's over there.
Hey, you don't have to point
And
out what
Noel.
you say.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, should I do a Brian impression? Then you could do a Noel impression.
Okay,
All right.
with me this week is Brian.
Hi.
That was Brian.
Oh wow.
That was spot on.
How and Noel.
Hi.
See, that was really
Wait,
good.
It is, right?
Yeah, that was perfect.
He just did that.
What you guys don't know,
Just
what you guys don't know is I actually threw my voice and he just opened it out.
It
Yeah.
was I think this is the best one yet. Right? The people on the street haven't really been fooled, but these guys, these suckers.
These idiots. Speaking of you idiots, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share the show. Click the little bell icon so that you know when we go live and do this here tomfoolery. Also, we love a little back and forth. So email us.
The old in out, in out.
The old in out, in out. No time to feed the meat. No, wait. No time for the old
the
in.
meter.
No time for the old in and out today, love.
yeah.
I just come to read the meter.
He does have
Also,
time to read the meter.
Pipe up in the chat or send us an email at
cultpopgo@gmail.com.
nailed it. That's the intro, and I think it went swimmingly. Next up is our segment that we like to call "What You Been Up to This Week?" In which I ask one of our co-hosts, "What have you been up to this week?" And then I add an anime-esque sort of which is super annoying and not charming at all. Hey, Brian, what's up with you this week? Did you do
Just as you described it.
Yeah. I kind of flipped the words around a little bit.
You kind of did.
It's absolutely charming.
Like that jacket that you had that had the wrong words on it.
I did have
But
a
that
jacket
happened
like
before
that.
the show, so let's skip it.
Lame
It was years
jacket.
before the show.
What you been up to this week, huh?
I was
Off the
You
rails.
played right into my hands.
Oh,
My jacket.
and they're so
my
soft.
jacketed
Yeah.
hands.
I love it when people play into them.
Gross.
So, no, it's beautiful. I watched the second season of The Wheel of Time.
Oh.
Based on Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time book
Not-
series.
Not the show where you spin the.
Wheel of Time?
Yeah.
No, that show doesn't exist yet.
Oh, okay.
That's later. And you just know about it because of The Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
of
A
course.
spin of fortune, you're thinking.
Yeah.
Spin of Fortune.
What Wheel of Time? It's Robert E. Jordan.
Robert Jordan, I believe. I don't
Okay.
know what his middle initial is, and I don't think he goes by it.
And I don't know anything about it. What is the Wheel of Time? Briefly.
Briefly.
Well,
Give us a brief synopsis.
Yeah. So
start with
the beginning.
Yeah. Start with what is
Fade
time?
in.
How what is time? How do I do it?
Smash cut.
Yeah.
a seed in the ground
Yes.
growing. Go.
Yes. But it didn't start there. The Wheel of Time is a fantasy show, like high fantasy show. Based Noel, you have a question?
What's high fantasy? What do you mean?
Oh, high fantasy? Okay.
Is that like mystical?
No. Yes, but mystical can be. a
What's
number of
high
things.
fantasy?
It
And
is.
what's low fantasy?
We'll
We'll go high
We'll
first.
get
Go
to
high
that.
first. Yeah.
So, and then I don't know. Here we go.
Okay.
High fantasy is like Lord of the Rings, right? It's the kind of fantasy that is a fantastical world through and through. It is not urban fantasy or something that takes place in this world mostly,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
This is like elves and orcs and dwarves and not necessarily those things or all or in all of them, but
in that realm,
that type of there's like a usually a grandeur to the world, but really I think it's just this world is very different. It probably always involves some sort of royalty, even if the story doesn't, like it exists in that world. Yeah, that kind of deal.
So Star Wars is high fantasy.
No,
oh, what?
I would not say so, but you could. Like
So
it's like the Arctic is a desert.
The way you
right?
just
Like that's not what I'm talking
the
about.
way you
Oh.
described it to me
Yeah.
was fantasy being, I don't know, like 1,000 years ago in England there were dragons. Fantasy.
Yeah,
High fantasy, a completely different world, a different landscape. This is not like Midgard or no, sorry, like Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Like it is not the ordinary world where fantasy exists. So
Although
it's high fantasy.
when you said that, it was 1,000 years ago and there are dragons.
Oh, yeah.
You could even though it is England, but it's a different high fantasy type England. You know what I mean? But yeah. Yes,
I still don't know what high fantasy is then.
Well, it's hard to say.
What's low fantasy?
So if there were to be such a thing, it would be more like things that take place in this world. Urban fantasy. Highlander would probably be that.
Right.
Or not high fantasy.
Have no rivals. I love
It
Highlander.
was a good show too. And there's another one coming.
Another movie eventually.
Is it movie? Is that what it's to
Eventually,
be with Henry
yeah.
Cavill?
I mean, it's been in production for 17 years now.
Let's skip to Wheel of Time.
What that Wheel of Time?
Wheel
is?
of Time.
It's a high fantasy. If
Yeah.
you're not aware of what that is,
Yeah, it's a high fantasy
go ahead.
show.
What's high fantasy?
High fantasy show.
God damn it.
And in this case,
Uh-huh.
the rules of this world are that there is the one power, which is like the only kind of magic that, or at least mostly, that is around, and only women can use it because many, many years ago, the any man drawing from it, it was like kind of tainted for them, and occasionally a man will be born who can use it because you have to be born with this ability, but they will go crazy if they use it, right? And the deal with the Wheel of Time is that in this world, everything cycles over and over and over again. And there was a previous world where all of these people lived, and there's a guy from that world who just wants to die.
Don't cry. It's not worth it.
Yeah, don't.
It's getting so emotional.
Not worth it, man. Don't cry.
I think it's weird that you feel the emotion of sadness, but you have to carry your tears around in a bottle.
These are pre-made tears.
Yeah,
I cried them earlier.
They're authentic.
Yeah.
They're just not current.
Curry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference?
Yeah.
So there's a man who has lived countless lifetimes and just wants to die, right? And there is to be, like I said in the beginning, the show centers mostly around these 5 kids who go out into the world like classic style, and each one of them has some different thing that they are, and one of them is the dragon reborn, this incredibly powerful being, and you don't know who that is throughout the first season, but you do find out at the end of it, so you know the whole second season. And it's a really interesting idea, this cyclical nature, right? Everyone will be reborn in the next world, fighting doing generally the same things, I think. And the previous world has had like technology, right? So there's like some steampunk, but not really in the show. It's just the one guy is oh, there was technology that did this thing, So this season was really good. The first season set up the status quo. They're all separated. One of them is probably going to turn bad. The other one's the dragon. This other one's very powerful. Dragon is also very powerful.
Oh, okay.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So the bad guy's trying to break the Wheel of Time because he just wants it all to end, and he wants to turn the dragon might turn bad.
Yeah.
So that's what he's hoping for, right? And you see at the very end of it a flashback to like their first life or some or way earlier life, which was I always love that kind of thing, right? And so I'm watching the last episode, and they've all kind of wound up in the same city. Some really interesting things have happened. One of them got made a magical slave to somebody else in a really shitty way, right? And they're all in the same city. And I'm watching. I didn't know it was the last episode of the season.
Yeah.
But big shit starts to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm
Sometimes you can kind of
I'm like,
this is probably the end
if
of the
this isn't the last one, the next one is for sure. But yeah, this is it's all going down, right? And it was cool. This last, the show is not always the very first thing that I watch.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, little high fantasy. Yeah, I could
get in on that.
Check that out,
sure.
right? And what's up?
Would Lovecraft Country be low fantasy?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all historical fiction.
Okay. Is that magic?
Earthbound historical
Lovecraftian stuff?
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
I mean, the show Lovecraft Country is magic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which you might find very interesting.
That's what I've heard.
Oh, I loved
not
it.
opposed
I
to
loved it.
Yeah,
it was great.
It looks interesting.
Robert Monroe Jr. says, "What's up, Cult Poppers?"
Hey, what's up?
Hi, Robert.
Nerd.
We're telling you what's up.
Yeah, what I've been up to this week is Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time, which is high fantasy, in case you didn't know.
High
what that
fantasy.
was.
Don't ask us to.
But a very
define
different
that.
world than Lord of the Rings, right? They have their one kind of magical power thing that they can use to do a number of different things with. There's Trollocs are a non-human race, and some other kind of like Minotaur without the horns or lion type guys. But you only see one of them, and so yeah, high fantasy is broad and hard to define.
Yeah.
And so this last episode, I was like, oh, this is really rocking it.
Yeah.
this is really nailing what it's doing here, and all kind of crazy shit's going on, and the heroes of old have been called. And, they don't let shit not go down.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Never once have I seen them.
Heroes of old.
Let
Now,
shit go down.
they are troublemakers.
Is that the end of the story?
Yeah, it was really good.
You were building up, so I thought you were gonna be like, and then it was canceled.
No,
something.
season
Is it going to
three,
get a third?
Oh, it's
Yeah, I think
okay,
so.
great.
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
awesome.
No, not always when you build something up does it go wrong.
Usually when there's a
But it
climax.
does happen.
Yeah.
But no, not this time.
Okay.
It's just how I told the story.
And it's on Prime Video.
It's on Prime Video.
Sounds like you recommend it.
Yeah.
It may not be the first thing you watch.
No. It's like...
Look, I said it's what I've been up to.
Yeah.
I didn't say it's what you should be up to.
Yeah.
Right, but it came out October 5th. So
Oh,
it
you've
took
been
me
up
a
to it,
while
yeah.
to watch it. you
Yeah,
know?
No, it
sure,
didn't.
yeah.
It took you only like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty good for a show. What is it?
No,
like
no.
8
It took me,
episodes?
that was when the last episode came out. Like, I had been watching
Oh.
it, but it would sometimes take me a while.
Gotcha.
In fairness, I don't always have the TV freedom.
Yeah.
Once I had.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my age or just the being inundated with content. Every time a new something is introduced, I'm just like, I don't want it. I don't even have time for what I like.
Yeah.
I don't want it. So, and I remember seeing the trailers for this one, and
Yeah.
it was around the same time as the first season of the Lord of the Rings one on
Yes.
Amazon Prime.
Yes.
So I was like,
Oh, I only got
I'm
one
gonna-
episode in that.
we watched the whole season. I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
But I was like, we're gonna commit to this one, and then we'll hold off and see about Wheel of Time. And I just haven't gone
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
cool. I think the second season really ratcheted it up
Yeah.
in terms of making it a more original show for sure. Even though there are still strong tropes.
Off topic.
Oh,
Have
yes.
either of you guys seen? So this show is coming back for its 4th season. It's always looked kind of interesting. Never watched it, but it looks cool. For All Mankind. Did either of you watch it?
No,
Never
looks
heard of it.
interesting. Never watched it.
Okay.
Yeah, is that the one where they're trying to go to Mars?
So the first
Oh,
season
right.
is we lost the space race,
No.
and then it's amping up our like the sixth. It's alternate history.
Yeah.
Okay.
We lost
okay.
the space race, and then we're amping up to get to the moon,
Oh.
and using female pilots and all kinds of shit.
Hmm.
The second season is like 10 years later, 15 years later, and it's colonizing the moon.
Oh.
The next season is Mars. The
Oh.
4th season is like been on Mars for a while. Now it's the first like colony, and it's set up like a gold rush.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they find an asteroid that is incredibly
Something
valuable.
valuable.
Now
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a fight for who owns the
Ah.
land to blah 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 blah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like
I like
they
that
keep-
jump ahead idea.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's only a couple cast members are held over, and they just
Oh,
age.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
That's
yeah.
cool,
Interesting.
but you haven't seen it.
No, I heard it was really good. And
Is
I don't know. It seemed like it was up your
It is.
alley,
It does
and
sound
I'm
that
like,
way. I
that's another show
uh,
that's like out there, like, no, watch me. But
Yeah.
then there's
Yeah.
like 4 billion other
Yeah.
things.
and that Godzilla thing is starting soon, right?
Oh, I'm gonna be so on
Hey.
that, like white on rice.
Is that
Monarch.
Monarch. I just
That's
got a
a
notification about it on my
cartoon.
telephone.
No, my
live
dude.
action?
live action
well, they're
starring Kurt Russell and Wyatt
Well,
Russell.
yeah.
And
Oh,
John
Kurt
Good-
Russell?
Kurt Russell
And
I'm in.
Wyatt Russell.
and his son Wyatt
Yeah.
play the same character 50 years
I
apart.
love that.
Yeah.
It's the
That's great.
It looks so good. And the showrunner is Matt Fraction.
Oh,
What?
Oh, that's cool.
What?
Yeah,
That
That's
could
cool.
be cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Has he done TV stuff before?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
I'm interested.
Oh, I think
in
He's
that.
a comic book writer for anyone.
I think
Yeah.
he worked.
A very
he
good
did.
comic
He
book
did.
writer.
He did
produce,
Sex Criminals.
He did produce the Hawkeye show. Like he was.
Oh, did he?
he was
yeah.
involved in the
Oh,
Hawkeye
cool.
show.
He
'Cause
also
it was
did the
based
best
off his
run on
book.
Hawkeye.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Hey, Noah, what you been up to this week, huh?
oh
Oh my God. So throaty.
Can we get a timestamp? Can we clip that? Just like I've been up to a holiday
Yeah,
holiday
just make a
purpose.
short of it. And it's just him going, and then that's it. That'll be our most watched short.
I mean, don't knock
Yeah.
2-second clips.
Friday the 13th, 1980.
Yep. So I've said it a million times. I'll say it again because I'm old now and I repeat myself. My wife doesn't love scary movies, but she has a threshold for like older, mildly not super scary, somewhere in there.
Kind
She-
of silly.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Wants to watch nothing but horror related things, but has a very small window of what's safe in the
Yeah.
daylight or not.
I got you.
So she wants to
That's
watch
kind
classic.
of, that's pretty cute, honestly.
I think it's adorable.
Yeah.
My
My wife just is like, I don't give a shit.
and they're ripping out his eyes. Cool. Great.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool.
Meanwhile, I have to make sure that it can't have like zombies are okay, but not kid zombies. And not
Oh,
Alright. Do you
like,
pre-watch
there's-
these movies?
no, I
Or you just
well
know?
sometimes I'll see something and be
I
like,
gotcha.
you don't want this, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you
Gotcha.
about it and blah blah blah.
It's
But
like no Train to Busan. It's so good though.
we
There are kids. zombies
we have
in it?
been
Mm,
so that is something we do want to watch and
it's
she wants to
awesome.
watch,
It's
but
like the best zombie movie.
that's going to be like a Saturday afternoon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And far enough away from bedtime,
Yeah.
that you won't be
Makes sense.
haunted. Great. I'm sorry. Friday the 13th.
German.
So
That's how.
it was between that or Romero's Night of Living Dead, which we watched
Classic?
last year.
Yeah.
Always a good watch, but I didn't want to watch it again, so I was
Nah.
like, pick something else.
That's not a really rewatchable.
Friday the 13th. I was enjoying watching her watch it because we've both seen it before, but she doesn't remember most of it.
Do you just?
So
I just picture you on the couch, just like.
yeah, it's basically pretty much it. I'm on the small one, she's on the other one.
Get
Are you paying attention? Yeah, I am. Through her
off your phone.
Yeah. But every murder, like it's a very reserved movie. If anybody hasn't seen it or hasn't seen it in forever, every single murder is very reserved.
Yeah.
It's mostly off camera. You never see the killer. You see feet.
Hmm.
You see like an arm,
Hmm.
maybe a knife move, but you never see the killer.
Mhm.
Can I spoil a 40-year-old movie?
Go for it.
Yeah.
So Jason is not the killer in this movie.
Which more trivia also spoiled in Scream 1.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the question that gets her killed.
Jason's not the killer in this movie. So like,
It's his mother.
yeah,
I heard about that actually. Yeah, that's why I'm always
the
looking
whole
for it.
movie, she's referring to the killer as a male. Like,
Oh,
yeah. I was like, oh, what did I miss? Oh, he got the camp counselor.
Oh.
And I was like, and in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, does she know?
Oh.
Does she remember? So I didn't ruin it. And then when the mother actually shows up, like as a fake out, she's like, oh yeah,
Betsy,
You knew
Betsy
it.
Palmer played her.
yeah,
Who's that?
Old time actress.
old timey.
But she
She
was-
was old-time. She rode one of those
an
bikes with
actress-
the big front wheel.
An actress who was old enough that
was in the Nickelodeons,
was
you see?
having to stoop to play this movie that she had no interest in because her car needed to be repaired.
It was
Oh,
the
I gotcha.
twilight of her career.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Probably now what she's known for the most.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, we watched, and then it spawned other conversations about like Jason movies. I was in the shop the other day, and somebody was just like, didn't know anything. Was like, "Is this? Which one's this?" I was like, "That's Michael Myers."
Did you
Which
have
one's
it up
that?"
on the movie?
No, it was your shirts.
Oh, sure.
And they were like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and then somebody said, "Oh yeah, the second one's my favorite." I was like, "So when he doesn't have the mask?" I'm like, "No, he's got the mask." I was like, "No,
Nope.
he
He's
doesn't
got a
have the
sack
mask
on
at all
his
until
head.
part 3."
Yep.
Like,
Oh yeah.
In the second Friday the 13th, you finally meet Jason,
Uh-huh.
who wasn't in the first one except in a dream sequence.
Right.
And he shows up and he's wearing a potato sack with one eye cut out.
Oh.
So he doesn't actually
I
get.
think I've seen
Yeah,
that somewhere.
super spooky.
everyone conflates the
Impractical.
first 3 movies
Uh-huh.
together.
Yeah.
yeah.
Impractical and unnecessary.
Yeah.
Was he dead and he came back?
So,
was that the deal?
Well,
Or he never had died. So, what was the
isn't
mom
it,
pissed
isn't
about?
it he's actually not like he's a normal person until like 3?
yeah.
So he dies at the end
He
of
just
3
wound up. He lived in the woods.
or
and
4.
So his
fended
mom
for
killed all those
himself.
people and he wasn't even dead.
Nah, yeah.
What the hell?
Well, yeah. What
All right.
it was an appetite of like animals and rage.
Yeah.
Like it just grew up.
Mhm.
But
All right.
yeah, he didn't die until part 4. Then part 5 wasn't him, and then 6 is
Oh, okay.
Brought him
being
back like a
resurrected.
Frankenstein.
And
back
then
like
he
a Frankenstein.
becomes basically a zombie for the next.
Oh, okay.
5
Why would, who would
movies.
do that?
Yeah.
yeah,
Why
yeah.
would
For
they
the
do
rest,
Somebody
in
else that wanted revenge.
perpetuity.
Yeah.
That
You
makes
know,
sense.
it's so fun. This is such a tangent. Brian's asking why someone brought Jason back from the dead as a zombie. It's because Tommy Doyle, the guy who originally killed him,
Uh-huh.
didn't believe that he was dead.
Uh-huh.
So he wanted to go and make sure. So he dug him up,
Uh-huh.
unburied him
Watch
with his friend.
Jason Lives. It's a masterpiece.
It's so good.
I'm not
And then
gonna
he puts a iron gate. He's mad at him.
Uh-huh.
So he puts an iron gate
Yeah.
fence post
gets
into
hit by
him.
to
lightning.
his chest, hit
And
by lightning.
Hit
Oh.
by lightning, brings him back to
And
life.
that brings people back to life. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Like Frankenstein.
If it
Why
worked-
doesn't the medical establishment
Right?
try that?
Get on
this.
Shoving
They
a gate
do.
into someone.
also, maybe it was magic lightning.
Oh, it could have been
maybe,
magic lightning.
maybe it was powered by his pure
Mother's
rage.
love. Oh.
Or-
Pure
Or
rage.
pure
and
rage.
mother- both.
Pure
Yeah.
rage and
And a
mother's,
mother's
love.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did she like the movie and she was surprised
Yeah.
by the
Well, she
Betsy
wasn't
Palmer?
surprised. She remembered as soon as
Ah.
Betsy Palmer showed up.
She's
She
like, oh,
remembered.
Right.
She's like, oh, that's right.
This bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
It's the
Betsy
one that kills
Palmer.
everyone.
She's got like 900 teeth.
She's
Got a
does.
very
It's a lot of
big,
teeth.
big smile. Very
Oh,
creepy
wow.
smile.
Also, you know what? We watched it on Max, formerly HBO Max, formerly HBO Go, formerly
Uh-huh.
HBO Now.
Max, the one to watch for HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did they call it home box office originally when it was
Yep.
cable?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it
so,
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Feature presentations.
Not just HBO always.
Well, it's not television.
It's
HBO.
not TV.
Yeah. Anyway, the high definition transfer is beautiful.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
looks
I
so good
haven't-
because I've seen it 1,000 times, grainy as shit.
Yeah.
I
on a
did buy-
VHS tape.
I did buy those Blu-rays, but
Mhm.
honestly, I haven't gone back and
Right.
watched them all.
Yeah, of course not.
So like watching it, I was just like, this is a much cleaner looking
Oh.
movie. It was a really good transfer. The other thing that I've been up to is I'm going to spoil another thing. We talked about it on Fresh Floppies this past week. It's a week old, so I feel like I can spoil it, and I want to spoil it with the hopes of people being interested to read more.
Sometimes you gotta.
of it. Okay.
Yeah.
What do we
So, Army of Darkness Forever #1 by Dynamite Studios, written by Dynamite Comics.
Dynamite.
Studios? Dynamite.
Dynamite Entertainment.
Written by Tony Fleece with art by Justin Greenwood. Tony Fleece of Stray Dogs
Mhm.
and Local Man with Tim
Oh,
Seeley.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. I am a fan of Army of Darkness, and
Mhm.
I will be the first to admit that most of the comics are shit.
Yeah.
There have been some good ones over the years. Actually, one called The Death of the Army of Darkness by Ryan Parrott was very funny, but most of them are just like the same joke over and over again. Let's just say if you don't like Ash Williams, the comics will never convince you to like him because
Right.
they're just not very good and it's the same dumb joke over and over again. So, this comic has a very interesting concept. If you've seen Army of Darkness, the theatrical cut, Ash Williams is just transported. He's in medieval times, and then I want to read that.
Yep.
He's in medieval times. Yeah.
It's
No,
all
we're
right.
just doing this. We're going live.
That restaurant, right?
Yeah.
He's in medieval times. He's at the restaurant medieval times. He
Cool.
picked his night. They won, so he gets to go back to his hometown. Saying an incantation, gets back home. The
Pata
joke is
Verata Nectu.
the joke is that he can't say the words correctly. It's
Yeah.
from the day the earth stood
Okay,
still.
yeah.
He doesn't say the words correctly, and a demon shows up. So the end of the movie is him at S-Mart, the Kmart anagram that he works for a fucking department store. The department store he works at gets attacked by witches, and then he like kills it and like fade to black. I'm a hero. Very cookie cutter ending. For those of us that were fans in like the 90s
Mhm.
when you didn't have tons of DVD extras and the internet, had heard about an original ending where he actually does the spell wrong
Oh.
and sleeps for 100 extra years
Oh.
Yeah,
and wakes up with like a giant beard and in a post-apocalyptic world.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then about 10 years later, they finally released that ending in like a larger cut, and it's just a fun ending.
Yeah.
This comic is a continuation of that ending.
That's pretty cool.
So it's
That is pretty dope.
it's
Yeah.
the which I thought was cool enough. However, this is the spoiler part.
Oh.
It's written in such a way that it reveals to you that both endings happened. So
Oh.
good Ash sleeps 100 years too long.
What?
There's a bad Ash.
Bad Ash
And yes.
is the one that is able to like.
Is that the one at the end of the original movie?
Yeah.
No.
He hijacks the process somehow. It's a mystery. And he's the one that ends up being in the S-Mart saying, look, I said the fucking words how you were supposed to say them, and then kills the witch and then kisses the girl and drives off. So evil Ash is in current day. Good Ash is in the
love
future.
that.
Right?
That's
Right?
awesome.
It was I thought
What
I
a
was just
fun retcon.
it is
awesome.
anytime that you're able to take disparate comics are great for this.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Johns and Green Lantern.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you're able to
Oh,
take
yeah.
disparate things that are either from different eras or don't connect to each other
Yeah.
and just like wrap them in a narrative, I'm just always eternally
Yeah.
impressed.
Yeah, it's such an art to
Yeah.
make it like it was always supposed to be this
Yeah,
way sometimes, you know.
And also
Yeah.
too, in the issue, Ash himself is like barely a factor. It follows the female character from Army of Darkness.
Uh-huh.
It follows her
Yeah.
for like the whole middle chunk, and she's trying to convince Eric the Red and the like that like something is not right.
Right.
And then you see like the Deadites trying to collect the pieces of evil Ash.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all of these plot threads are coming together, and then like a post-credit scene in the comic, because it literally goes to the ad pages, and I thought it was over.
Yeah.
And there's a scene at the very end
Ah,
that shows you that it's evil Ash that was in the original ending.
delightful.
Everyone needs to read this comic. I'm gonna pull it. It was so fucking good.
I'm glad I ordered it in. I ordered one copy of it because I was like, it's Army of Darkness. I should give it a
mine.
shot.
It's so good.
And then he bought it and took it. And I haven't had a chance to read it. I'm going to borrow it back from you.
Yep.
And let me know. Put it on your subscription.
was-
That's awesome. That sometimes you need a spoiler in order to give
To
you
hook
to
people
even
in.
give a crap, right?
That's
Yeah,
true.
because
Yeah.
there have been so many
Yeah,
Army of
it's
Darkness series that
Sticky
are
Wicket.
honestly just not very.
Oh no, that's why I was. It was really I ordered it out of like my horror fandom of like, well, I should toss him a one. I'll order
It's great.
one.
Tony Fleece
Yeah.
continues to impress me. This is like the 4th series of his that I've read that I love.
Oh, great. I'm excited for that. I have been up to, speaking of old 80s horror films, I had never seen Lamberto Bava's Demons.
Oh.
So
What a movie.
I always confused them. There was like Demons 2, Night of the Demons. And so I went to the Outer Banks specifically to watch this. No, we went to a beach house.
People were at the beach, and I'm like, nah.
No, we're
80s
watching
Italian horror.
Can everyone be quiet?
Yeah.
Shh, children.
Yeah, they're watching the Phillies game, and I'm there with the Demons. Yeah, so there's a theater room that I've always wanted something like that in my house.
Yeah.
First I need the house,
And then you
Then
can
I
get
need
the room.
a room.
I tell you what, it's way easier to have a house that just buy one that already has the room. Because trying to fit one of those rooms in a house,
That's true.
it's tough.
I mean,
Yeah.
any room could be the room.
Yeah.
Just get a house, and then the dining room is now.
Is now
Yeah,
the
the theater room.
theater room.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Cool.
anyway, really everybody in our friend group was watching the Phillies on the big screen, and it was awesome. I didn't give a crap, but then everyone went to bed.
It was
Mm.
awesome.
And I brought DVDs to watch with me, and then I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna put on Netflix." So I think I want to say it was either Netflix or Shudder. Oh, it was Shudder.
Shudder.
It was Shudder.
The Demons flicks are on Shudder.
Yeah, and I've never seen this. Let me put this on. I'm by myself. I've got this nice big room. Kick up my feet, and it is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
It is horrible.
No plot.
But
Bad to Oh,
Wait, is
what?
there a
But
plot? There's kind of
there's
a plot.
absolutely it's a cool ass plot.
It's plot-ish.
It's plotish.
There's no reasoning. It's just
Right.
it's like plot by broad stroke touch points.
Yes. And it's
like,
awful.
This happens.
But
happens.
there is obviously everyone knows there is an awful that you love, and then there is an awful that you just don't bother with.
Trash and garbage.
There's right. So well, hold on. I remember this. Trash is dry, garbage is wet.
Yeah,
so
it's weird
garbage is
trash.
bad.
And
Trash is good.
yeah. Trash is like a
Yeah.
a crumpled up piece of paper that is just it's
Yeah.
cool. And garbage is like
Yeah.
wet, smelly, sticky.
like if
Yeah.
you put your hand
Like
in
McDonald's.
trash and somebody threw garbage in there, you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, what's all this garbage doing to my
Yeah.
trash?
Yeah.
You managed a
Right.
movie theater before.
Yeah.
You know what difference between garbage and trash?
Oh, we
Yeah,
had
yeah.
trash
Garbage
juice.
Gar-
When,
Ah!
I
we
called
called
it
it trash
garbage juice.
It makes sense. It's what it is.
It's like the sediments of soda, butter, and kernels that
Yeah.
just drips out of a
And
and when
bag.
you're like taking it to the big trash
A
place,
snail
the
trail
dumpster,
of shit.
and
Just
it's the
like on the-
it's just like, oh, there's the trash juice, right? One of
Oh.
the bags ripped.
Grab a straw. Anyway,
It was delicious.
this movie is just nonsense straight through, and
true.
it is horribly dubbed. Nobody makes a good decision, but the cool thing is everyone is invited. These people are invited to a movie theater.
That is cool.
And so they all settle into the movie by a mysterious guy in like a weird ass mask.
Oh.
But
That's
he's
the
giving
80s,
out
it's
he's-
art.
Yeah, he's giving
Yeah.
out free passes.
Basically,
And
yeah.
so these disparate groups of folks all wind up going to this movie, and they're watching a horror film, and someone in the horror film puts on a mask that has some sort of pointy thing inside, and it nicks them, and then they turn into a demon. Same thing happens in the theater. So the thing that they're watching happening on screen is actually starting to happen in the theater itself
Oh, shit.
yeah.
to the patrons.
Yeah. So what is it like? The props of the movie are in the lobby,
Yeah.
and she's like, "I'm gonna put this mask
Ah.
on."
Boo.
Yeah.
And
it
then she
happens-
goes,
yeah.
ow. And then and that makes them all become demons. So these are demons, but it's basically a zombie movie.
Are
So
they
they-
watching a movie in the movie that they're watching?
No,
That'd
it's
been
only 2 layers of Inception,
layers.
not
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
So absolute bonkers movie. But if you like bad horror movies that are so bad they're good, this is the poster child for that
It's a
type
fun
of
watch.
experience.
No,
There's movies that I don't generally like watching them by myself. This is certainly a movie that would have been better with a group. But I still enjoyed watching it all by my onesies.
So there's movies like that used to scare the shit out of me. Not because they're scary, but because it's like cosmic horror. It makes no sense.
Mhm.
There's no one's safe, and it's just almost cruel.
Yeah.
Because it's just, whatever's happening is just there's no rhyme or reason, and it's
Yeah.
almost like a cruelty.
Mm.
And for a long time, I didn't know how to process that.
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be a good guy, there's got to be a bad guy, there's got to be this.
Sure.
But then older, I just started enjoying the aesthetics. So Demons is very much aesthetics.
Gonzo, does that apply?
No, Gonzo is like first person crazy. You're the camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that what
But,
gonzo journalism is?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're
Like
uh,
you just
he made himself
see
part of
them.
the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the story is him experiencing it. Like,
Oh,
and when I
okay.
say him, I basically mean Hunter S. Thompson because he coined Gonzo journalism.
yeah.
Like he is a
Yeah.
part of the story. He's experiencing it.
Hmm.
There's no objectiveness. There's pure experience.
Hmm.
Robert Monroe Jr. says, "I love demons," and I'm assuming
The
he
movie.
means the actual creatures.
No,
Yeah.
just demons.
Oh,
Yeah, not
maybe.
the movie.
Yeah.
Just
And so I saw Demons 2 first
uh-huh.
at the Colonial at a screening.
Oh, fun.
That movie's plot is a bunch of people. Wait, how does it? It's like inside of. There's a bunch of people that leave a theater, or no, there's a bunch of people watching a movie about an apartment complex, and then the movie becomes what's happening in the apartment complex that is being possessed in the same way by demons. It's
Do
like
the people in the
instead
theater
of outside, it's inside.
also wind up in that movie, or do you just we leave that group of people and we're just watching the movie that they're watching?
I want to say
'Cause that's
and
less interesting.
everyone can correct me, but I want to say it towards the second half of the movie, you find out that everything that happened in the apartment is also happening in the world outside the movie
Okay.
theater.
Yeah.
So like, because I remember being like, this makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
They're watching a movie that's actually not a movie. It's their real world.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, this is crazy, but
Yeah.
it was cool looking. And it's got that awesome shot of, backlit demon zombies walking through a corridor.
Oh,
Both of
that's
them.
also in this. Oh, I love that shot.
Mhm.
It's such a good shot. They're silhouetted from behind, but their eyes, for some reason, in only this shot, are bright yellow.
Oh.
Super spooky.
Huh.
Yeah, really, really good shot. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. Highly recommend Demons if you haven't seen it and you like trash.
Good trash.
Good trash. You should check it out.
You know, I totally forgot about it. Also watched what could be considered a horror movie
What?
this week. And I was going to recommend it to Noel as something that his wife Sam might like because it's not so bad, right?
Mhm.
It's called Totally Killer.
Oh,
I
you
watched that
it too.
too.
Is that right?
I showed the trailer to her and she was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
I watched
was
the whole
no-
movie and I was like, okay.
Yeah. It was fun enough.
Yeah.
Like,
If you liked that, I
Yeah.
would say watch Happy Death Day
is there time travel?
because that is a better
Yeah.
version
wait,
of that.
That's
That's
cool.
Groundhog Day with a serial killer.
but Happy Death Day to you is
It's
timey
garbage.
wimey. You didn't like it?
It's a little garbage.
You didn't like that one. All right.
I thought it was all right.
I think the problem that I had with Totally Killer is that Kiernan Shipka, the main actress, is nowhere near as charming as the main character of Happy Death Day.
Happy
She's
Death Day
awesome.
is really fun.
Oh, okay.
She really goes for it.
And it's
Alright.
PG-13. It's not very gory at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's just something about Totally Killer that all of the elements are there.
Yeah.
The 80s time travel
travel.
machine.
Did you see the
serial
time
killer?
travel machine that I don't know.
It doesn't
The
that doesn't make
science
sense. Yeah, the
is
science is
aggressively bad.
yeah.
And I don't know if it was on purpose. They repeatedly
They'll say it's
say,
on purpose, so that's all that matters.
was that?
They'll say it's on
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah. They repeatedly, to get the machine to work, they have to put a metal conductor in it.
Yeah.
Is what they say, and the intonation with which they say it.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you mean a conductor?
Just a
Yeah,
conductor.
just a
Does
conductor.
it conduct
That's
metal?
like that's like an ATM machine.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
It's an ATM.
And
Or chai tea.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it was time travel. It was
It was
fun.
cute.
It was like,
I didn't hate watching it.
and I thought the way that they handled the what she knows and doesn't know, and
Mhm.
was cool. And yeah, by the end of it, I was
There's a-
like, cool.
She
There's
just doesn't
another
have the comedic chops, I don't think.
there's
Yeah.
another movie coming out. Did you see the trailer for It's a Wonderful Knife?
No.
Yeah.
Let's stop the show so I can watch this trailer. I love the name.
It's a Wonderful Knife. It's
Yeah.
basically this girl during Christmas time stops a slasher killer,
Uh-huh.
and then a year later, people want to move on, and she's still dealing with her trauma, and she's just like, I wish I'd never had to deal with
Ugh.
this shit. So then it's the Wonderful Life. It takes her to if she never stopped the killer, and it's a year
Oh.
later, and no one knows if she was never born.
Is it Christmas time?
Yeah,
Oh, I love a good Christmas time
Yeah.
horror movie.
and
Yeah.
they show you in the trailer who the killer is.
Dylan's back there moaning. He loves it.
It just makes me think of Gremlins.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
My favorite Christmas movie.
Same. You know what else
Christmas.
is really good? Have you seen Krampus?
I've heard of it. It
It's
looks
fine.
crazy.
It's by the guy who did Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Follows the exact same plot, which is follow the rules of the season or you'll die.
Is Adam
Um,
Scott in it?
Adam Scott's in it.
Yeah.
Tony Collette.
Okay.
It's like Gremlins meets the National Lampoon's Vacation.
All right.
Vibes wise.
I'm interested. I'm baited.
Love it. Love that movie. Go ahead. Sorry. He disagrees, but go on.
I rewatched it last year. It's fine.
I love it.
They tell you who the killer is in the trailer.
Yeah.
So, but Justin Long is in the movie
Oh, I love Justin
with
Long.
like big fake teeth.
Yeah.
It looks wonderful.
I
I
can't
think
wait.
I don't know if it's in theaters or if it's just gonna.
We should go see it.
I'll look.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Also, we should move on. But has Sam seen The Gate?
Oh yeah, 1,000 times.
Wonderful.
Because
Okay.
that would like in scrolling looking for something. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, The Gate. Have you seen The Gate? She's like 1,000
The
times. I was
Gate
like,
is
okay,
so
cool.
good. If anyone hasn't seen The Gate, 1980s horror movie, basically for kids. It's like a Goonies version of a horror movie. Well, I guess that would be,
That'd be Monster
Squad.
Yeah.
But it's got
Fucking classic.
But it's
I
got
love that
Monster
movie.
Squad vibes. It's like
Okay.
kind of for kids back when they made horror movies for kids that were kind of brutal. And it's got Steven Dorff in his first role, and he's got the chubby cheeks. He's very young. Anyway, main topic of the night. We should probably get to it. Fall of the House of Usher. One of two parts. We're gonna talk about the Fall of the House of Usher, and then we're gonna talk about
Loki.
the first two episodes of Loki,
Yeah.
season 2. So Netflix has dropped The Fall of the House of Usher. It's an 8-episode series by Mike Flanagan, starring Carla Gugino,
Yeah.
Bruce Greenwood, Mary McDonnell, Mark Hamill, Katie Siegel, and every other person who has ever been in a Mike Flanagan joint. You actually wrote joint. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I noticed because I saw
I always
the
do that
Haunting
too.
of Hill House, and I saw that those people were in another haunting movie, and I was like, "What are those people are in this movie
Huh,
or this
weird.
TV series?" Yeah,
All of them.
Just the what's it called? What's this thing called?
sentence.
The sentence is the description is to secure their fortune and future, two ruthless siblings build a family dynasty that begins to crumble when their heirs mysteriously die one by one. Let's go. All right. So you just figured it out
What?
just now about Mike Flanagan and the fact that he's made other shows and they kind of had the same cast.
This is only the third thing of
Only-
his that I'm aware of.
Yeah. I was going to ask. That was going to be the question. Is like, what is your Mike Flanagan experience?
I didn't even
Because
know
he's
his name
become
until
one
just
of my
now.
favorites. He's the guy that when I hear his name is attached to something, I go, well, I'm going to watch that.
Oh, is that right?
And I find it charming that he uses a lot of the same actors.
Yeah,
There's
it's cool.
there's a coziness to
It's like
it.
a troop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
his I think he's married to Katie Siegel, right?
Katie Siegel,
Mhm.
Who
who
is that? Who is that in this?
The white hair,
the white-haired woman.
All right.
With
the
roots.
young white-haired woman.
Hmm.
It's a choice. One of the daughters,
with
like
the
the
two
daughter.
with the two assistants.
I've only seen the first half of one.
This was
episode.
I've only
Which-
seen the first episode.
I did not have time to
That's
watch
okay.
more of that.
All right, well,
Yeah.
we'll go.
Anyway,
we'll keep
It's
going.
all
so my first
Yeah.
one was it Hush?
Yeah, I've never seen
Is
it
that
still,
movie?
but yeah.
So there's a movie that I happened to come across, and I was bored, and I was like, this looks interesting. A deaf woman is stalked in her own home by a killer.
You love
And I
that
was like,
kind of thing.
I love deaf women being stalked by
Yeah.
killers. That's like my
Yeah.
number one genre, or
And not just in
subgenre.
movies.
Yeah, just
Which is-
anytime
Yeah.
I can stalk a deaf woman.
Sit.
Um,
Deaf women stalking season's coming.
I
Yeah.
get my pumpkin spice latte
Gets dark a
And then
little
I
earlier.
find my favorite deaf
That's
woman.
right. and I stalk her.
Your favorite one.
So
Each season.
that's left.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
It's not
So
like they grow on trees.
Kate Siegel stars in this movie, which I found out much later was directed by Mike Flanagan, and it's a really good thriller. It's just a really solid, well-directed movie. And then House on Haunted Hill, I think, was the
No.
one that really grabbed me.
So I was typically only familiar with his movies for the most part because again, I feel like I don't get to watch too many long form horror in my
Yeah,
home
yeah.
unless I do it alone.
Sure.
So movies. So trying to watch the whole 10 hours of House on Haunted Hill
Yeah.
and Bly Manor and stuff, it's probably just not going to happen, or it happens very slowly. So I was really only familiar with Oculus,
Oh, right.
Dr. Sleep.
With Amy Pond, right? Is that who that was?
Amelia Pond.
Karen Gillan.
Amelia Pond.
Amelia.
Yeah.
Oculus, Dr. Sleep, which I thought was a goddamn masterpiece.
So good. Underrated.
Is that the sequel to The Shining?
Yes.
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 Very,
Oh,
very good.
so
It's
cool.
less of a horror movie and more of like just a psychological thriller.
Awesome.
And
I like that
it's
miniseries.
it's like a
from the
2.5.
90s.
It's not. So he constructed a sequel
Yeah.
to the book as well as the movie as
Yeah.
well as the miniseries.
Because the miniseries is much more
Closer
accurate to the book, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he
Yeah.
took it's very weird. It's like technically a sequel to the movie,
Oh.
but he takes a lot of stuff from
The novel.
the sequel to the novel, like the novel
Yeah.
sequel, but then also a lot of the stuff from the movie and
Yeah.
TV show, and then
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I
Carries
thought
on.
it was.
That's
That's
one
why
of
I
those
brought up
things-
the 90s show.
it's
That's
like
one of those things that we were talking about earlier, taking two desperate things
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
He
putting
puts
them
them all
together
together.
in a way that it makes it feel
yeah,
coherent.
and I think
Because
he
that's an impossible job. He had to the main audience of The Shining is from the movie, the Kubrick film.
Sure.
But then you've got the diehard Stephen King fans who've read the novel. And he somehow was able to put both of those stories together in a pleasing way that made everyone happy.
you also have like the diehard Stephen King fans that hated the book Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he just like made it all work. I think he
I
ended up,
loved it.
he took like pieces of the first book that weren't adapted by Kubrick.
Yeah.
And placed them in this.
Yes.
Like a lot of really wonderful,
Very
cool.
cool.
And also too, I saw it with my sister who has never seen The Shining, had no idea it was books and nothing, and still loved the movie.
Oh, that's great.
You don't have to have seen or read anything. It's just
Yeah.
and it feels like not unlike the Batman, it feels like a truncated season. Like it is a long but engaging movie.
Yeah, it's got one of my favorite villains, Rose the Hat.
Mhm.
She's
It's
so
a good
good.
name.
We
It's a
should
good villain
let's
name.
watch that and talk about it next week.
Yeah, let's just watch it right now. Put it on.
Yeah.
Dylan, can you throw it up on the screen?
So I noticed
and
he
then-
has
and
a
then
very
television.
similar style. Like the world of the first half of the first episode of The Fall of the House of Usher really feels a lot like The Haunting of Hill House.
It does.
Right?
Yeah,
Very
it's,
much.
it's-
Yeah.
he's very he's almost like
style.
he's almost like a playwright. It's all
Yeah,
very,
it's very
like
baroque in
Yeah,
a
it's-
very
it's-
positive way. Yeah.
monologues,
Yeah.
pushed camera,
Yeah.
and all dialogue. You have to really pay attention, but it's totally worth it. But and then I didn't see any of that stuff, but I put on an episode of Midnight Mass a couple months ago,
Awesome.
like 2-3 years late on it.
Which Dane in the chat says Midnight Mass by Flanagan was solid.
And every once in a while I'll do this. I'll put something on and just see if my housemate starts to glom onto it. And we watched all 8 episodes in like 3 days.
Nice.
It's horror, but it's elevated. It's more than that. It stuck with me, but it still was like, it's good.
It also deals with religion in a way that I enjoy, which is like that sort of Stephen King way.
This is Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass, yeah.
You might actually really enjoy Midnight Mass.
I saw it and it looked interesting.
It's very good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're looking for a spooky type of thing to watch. It's Halloween season, you know.
The spooky.
It's Deaf Woman Stalking season.
The spooky is an add-on.
Yeah.
It is not the meat of the show.
Yeah. What's the meat of the show?
People in a small town.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
On like an island.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's a fishing island.
It's basically this kid coming back after he's been his family's been shunned, right?
He was in prison for a couple of years.
Yeah.
For
Very
I
strong
won't
for
spoil.
something. And he comes back home. And it's just a bunch of relationships of the people and the church on the island. It's
very
wonderful.
Good. Yeah, there was I think one of the reviews I read about it after I watched it was, if you want villain or creepy dialogue, you literally can just live full passages from the Bible.
Yeah, yeah.
Which he does in some pieces, because one of the main antagonists is a person of the cloth. So they'll say things that are intended to be one way, but in a context that's like, that's evil. Like, your motivations are evil. It was a very fascinating show.
I
could see saying like, I tend to you like I tend to flock in a sinister voice.
Yeah.
Be very
when you see this person do something else and then they say that, like, you could literally lift full passages, and it's like, that context is menacing. Yeah. Yeah, it was really good.
So
everyone send in your most menacing Bible quotes.
Oh yeah.
For us
and
next
if you
week.
could record yourself reading them like Brian,
Yes.
we'll review them on the show.
Yeah.
So I watched an episode and a half of The Fall of Usher before I had to come do the show.
We watched the first episode. The whole first
great.
episode. Yeah.
And you watched half of the first episode.
Yeah, I liked it. Oh,
great.
It was cool.
So-
Carl Lumley was in the part that I watched.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who is a Flanagan newbie, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not been
now
in any
he's
of the other
in
shows.
with the Flanagan.
Yeah, now he's in the Flanagan troupe.
The Flanagan. Yeah.
Same with Hamill,
EFT.
Mark Hamill.
Where do I know Carl Lumley from?
He was
Alias.
He also did the voice
Alias.
of John Johns, the Martian Manhunter
that's
in the
right.
Justice League,
Nice.
and played Martian Manhunter's father in Supergirl. But I don't
Nice.
think you watched
Is
it
it John
that far.
Jones
No.
or John Johns?
I think John Jones is his human name, and on the show they said John Johns, and I
See,
started.
I always
like that a
pronounced
while
it
ago.
as I was growing up. John Johns.
You didn't do the John for the.
No.
Why the second one?
Wait, do
so
you
much
say
effort.
mom when you want to say ma'am? No, you don't.
Ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Oh, I am gonna start doing that though. I love putting that little hitch in the middle of where an apostrophe is.
Yes, mom.
Yeah.
What was the question?
There wasn't one. Everyone just keeps talking. I haven't gotten there. I have not read The Fall of the House of Usher. Has anyone here read it?
It's a
I
short
don't
story.
think so. I might have.
That's surprising, Brian.
I think it's just I read so much. I read so much Poe.
Yeah?
In like
He's a po'
high
boy.
school. I'm a Po boy.
Delicious sandwich.
We both I've read a lot, but none of it's retained. Like, it all melts
it's all
together.
gone.
None of it's really
Kind
retained.
of makes me want to read it.
And a lot of the most popular stuff is like a 2-page poem
Yeah.
or a short story. And yeah, so like
The most I have is The Simpsons,
The Raven.
The Raven, which is one.
I can recite
And then
the
the
first
movie.
several stanzas of The Raven if you want.
I don't.
Well,
there
actually,
was-
it turns out I can do it either way. I won't.
Thank you. Yeah. And then the movie that I just watched recently, where there was like a murder mystery. With
so
Poe.
I had seen
mystery.
the trailer of this show, and I know it was the whole cast the whole time.
Yeah.
But I understood Fall of the House of Usher as a short story, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be an anthology series of just like Poe stories or a through line. And then when I looked at the titles of the episodes, they're all different Poe short stories.
Right.
So I'm here thinking, without having seen it yet, and somebody can confirm or deny, it's one overarching story, but he's going to adapt aspects of each of those fucking stories in
Inside.
each one.
Oh, all of it. Well, one of the characters is named Lenore.
The
rare
little
and
girl.
radiant maiden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the last episode's called The Raven. The first one's or the second one's The Mask of the Red Death. the Telltale Heart, which was my favorite.
Oh, that's
the beating of that hideous
But
heart.
then,
Oh,
but
that
then, but in the first episode, they seed some of that shit because the one daughter is a heart surgeon, and they're putting in like they're
Also,
it's like a fucking fangasm of all things Poe baked into this larger
I also
overarching
read that
plot.
one.
Like
I guess
Shrek
I have read
with
some
the-
Poe. Robert Monroe Jr. is in the chat saying, "I love Poe." Also, Lumley starred in Mantis,
yes, it was
and then he
great.
says the cast of
produced by Sam Raimi.
Amontillado.
Really?
The cast of Amontillado is fantastic,
Cast of
and
Amontillado.
Wait,
I
that's
have
the one
read
behind
that.
the wall, right?
yeah,
Where he's-
he's
did you
like
guys-
slowly
Did you guys
burying
see
this guy.
the like joke ad for like wanted at a library? Wanted someone to crawl in this small space in our wall who has not read the Cask of Amontillado.
Oh, cute.
No,
Yeah.
but that's great.
Yeah.
It's not menacing at all.
Well, that sounds awesome. I was wondering that because I have a feeling that Midnight Club, which is another Mike Flanagan joint that was based on, I believe, Christopher Pike books or R.L. Stein. I always confuse those.
We did talk about Christopher Pike the other day
Then
when we talked about Midnight Mass.
then it was-
and
then
he's
it
the
was-
Star Trek captain
or-
too.
The
Yeah.
R.L. Stein is Fear Street.
Yeah.
Fear Street is R.L. Stein. Christopher Pike is Midnight Society.
You're correct. Midnight
There
Club. And each,
there was a wall in the beginning of this. Remember, speaking of the Cask of Amontillado, one of the images that gets flashed up in like
There's a
the
wall?
very first, there's a brick wall
oh, word.
that
Man, I wouldn't be surprised
yeah.
if it's just going to be an Easter egg a-thon of
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to keep watching it.
Yeah, me too. Yes, I loved it. Especially the first episode. Just the way he directed it and the energy of it. The editing and everything was very crisp and fun and snappy. And I found myself like, ooh, this is good fall TV. Like we're getting in the spooky time, all the leaves are coming down, it's a certain kind of atmosphere, and this speaks directly to that for me. And I was kind of delighted to be there watching it. And I had a little bit more time, and I was like, put on the second episode. And I just kept cruising until I had to like leave to come here. And
you were kind of late.
yeah.
It's good shit.
And it's just really engaging. It's really fun. I think the only problem I had, and it is so minute when it comes to Midnight Mass, is some of the monologuing, a bit lengthy. And
Not a bit.
Haven't
Incredibly lengthy.
Yeah.
And the only fault of the entire show.
you agree?
Like
Great.
the 50th 10-minute monologue, slow pan push.
Yeah.
It's always one take, so it's like incredibly impressive acting wise. But halfway through, I can't help but think like, if this was a real conversation, what's the resolve of that fucking person that's sitting there across from you?
You're just like staring.
Like for 8 fucking minutes. Like no one does that in
This
their life.
fucking guy again.
Yeah, like
Ah.
like you're telling us like I believe heaven is this, and then she goes in like this long 10-minute monologue about it. And the guy that asked her the question, I want to see his face.
But they, like,
I want to know
Do they
how
never
you're
cut over?
receiving this
we should do a
information.
skit like that.
Yeah.
We're
How
just,
it- are you
you're
like-
only
are
watching
you like-
the other person.
Yeah, like
I-
that's good. But listen, I gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I
Just
just
Dave,
wanted to know. I just
I-
wanted to know if you wanted
Like
mayo
the
on it.
person walks
Yeah.
away, goes to Burger King, comes back, unwraps
Oh, you're
their
still going.
burger,
Yeah.
just sits there drinking a milkshake. Robert Monroe Jr. says yes to something. And Dane
He
says
does like stuff.
The Murders in the Rue Morgue is a great detective short story by Poe.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
didn't-
about that one.
Oh, I mean, it's a Sherlock story. No.
What?
No, I'm sorry. Hans the Baskervilles. I'm an asshole. Forget it. Forget it.
What?
Sorry.
You piece of shit.
There's also a
so
study of
fucking-
You know what you
Starlight.
are? Garbage water.
I'm garbage juice.
Ah,
Yeah.
juice is worse.
I know.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's why it's
that's
not
why it's
garbage
called
water.
garbage
Right.
It's
So
drip.
tell us your experience of Fall of the House of Usher.
Only the
Episode
first
1.
half. Only,
Yeah.
I'm
The
sorry,
first half
episode
of episode
0.5.
don't talk about
Yeah.
the second
Yeah.
half
All
or
right.
your impressions.
I won't even talk about what I think. it's gonna
Caveat
be.
your impressions with the second half.
So I from the first half had the impression
Uh-huh.
that this was an engaging show. I was into it. I like the
Butts.
establishment. Well, I do like butts, and I cannot lie. But
You can, just not about that.
no, cannot lie at all. It is
Yeah.
a curse. But I like butts.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody asks me, I, have to
I
tell
like
them.
butts.
Yes.
I wasn't asking about butts. I was asking if you know where the milk is. I like
Like,
butts.
it's not that I can only say it when I'm not lying.
I threw out a non sequitur and stopped paying attention,
yeah.
and you guys are
Yeah,
still
yeah.
We're
riffing
still on
on it.
the thing. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like-
just let me
Do
know.
you remember
when
that monologue conversation
go
you were
pee.
talking about, where the other guy is
Give me a
disinterested
Whopper.
now?
Yeah, give me one.
Go on.
Burger King.
So
Where is there a Burger King?
they're around. Yeah,
Forever away.
it's over in that direction. So what we're talking about the fall of the House of Usher is Carl Lumbly is always great. I like the idea that it's modernized, which I wasn't 100% sure of.
Yep.
I think I saw the Vincent Price movie a long time ago, but I have no recollection of it really. Or very little. And the characters, the villainy of the characters is being well established, right? And they're a pharmaceutical company who has lied about, and not just about anything, but about the opioid addiction. So they're hewing very close to actual events for now. And the fact that nothing has stuck to them. I'm also was impressed with the guy that plays the guy that was bowling in the beginning in their house, right? Who was also the father in Haunting of Hill House.
Henry Thomas.
From E.T. Yeah,
yes.
That's the little boy from E.T.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's much different now.
Yeah, he's older.
Yeah, he's older.
Yeah.
Right? So he has really experienced the passage of time.
It's really neat. He's actually aged in real time.
Yeah.
How fast was he moving?
Well, like he was in Midnight Mass too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He plays his characterization is extremely different just from this one scene.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed.
So
with
was
that,
I noticed
right?
that too. I was like, oh, he's doing it's a whole different thing.
Very different thing.
Yeah.
Very impressively.
He played Jack Nicholson too.
Rich boy.
Oh.
He did.
Yeah.
He played young Jack Nicholson
In what?
in Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep.
Oh, is that right?
You really need to see Dr. Sleep.
It's
Okay.
great.
I think you'll really like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a choice. Yeah. Good. Henry Thomas.
So yeah, very little
Hank Thomas.
Who Thomas?
Hank.
Hank Thomas. HT.
We're close.
Yeah.
So the very little maybe no supernatural stuff so far.
Mhm.
And I don't think of the Fall of the House of Usher as being something that has supernatural stuff definitely. So I'm not sure if that's part of this or not.
A lot of Poe's stuff was implication and the
guilt,
human psyche being like
right
the terror,
like your own worst enemy.
Yeah,
your,
so
your
like,
own regrets.
Telltale Heart was the guilt. Raven was the was it like the survivor's remorse or something like that.
Well, you never really find out exactly.
I was never quite sure.
Yeah,
but
I don't think
it's the idea of like it could be something, but it also could
like,
be you having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Which I think he was having a mental breakdown.
You don't think that Raven was talking to him?
Yeah. No, I mean like Poe,
who looks strangely look like Bart Simpson. Weird.
Yeah, in all versions.
Yeah. But eventually you do see some supernatural elements, but even still, I don't know if that supernatural element is a figment or if it's real or not.
Fun fact.
I love those.
The show was originally starring Frank Langella in the Bruce Greenwood, and he was let go due to impropriety or something.
Really?
Was
Frank
he the head of
Langella?
the pharmaceutical company?
He was the Bruce. He's the Bruce Greenwood role.
What? Do you think I was asking who Frank Langella was?
No, I'm sorry. I thought you were making a joke. Like his impropriety was he was the leader of a giant pharmaceutical company that was creating an opioid crisis, and they were like, "We gotta let you go, Frank."
Apparently, there was shit.
Not
cool.
over the line.
Shit went down on the set. I have no idea why,
I didn't know
but
that.
they let him go.
Oh, that part.
And they refilmed almost the entire thing with Bruce Greenwood.
Oh, wow.
So almost all of his scenes are add-ons or reshot.
That's so neat.
So I'm watching the first episode, and every time he's not on screen, so like there's a scene where he
Frank's
comes
there.
Where, that's
Everyone's
Frank.
clearly
that's Frank.
looking at somebody that looks like Frank Langella.
Let's say like, he walks out of the church, and he's in a shot with Mary McDonnell and Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
But then there's a reaction shot of just Mark Hamill and Mary McDonnell. I'm like, they're probably not
Frank.
like,
They're looking at Frank.
They're looking at Frank, or it's a
Yeah.
completely different day, and he shot that alone.
That's
like
neat.
I love that shit. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. What a bummer, Frank Langella.
I mean, he peaked at Skeletor.
Oh my god.
I thought you were describing his impropriety. Like he peaked at and then you said Skeletor, and I didn't know.
His entire career peaked at Skeletor, and everything after that has been like, yeah.
That makes me wonder things like, is Bruce Greenwood secretly like awesome?
You think he planted the
I don't think it's
my
a secret. I don't think it's a secret. Bruce Greenwood is awesome.
No. His
He was
reaction,
happy about it.
like right? He's got to be stoked.
Oh.
Like part of it's like, oh man, that sucks, but also
Yeah.
like work.
But he's been in other Flanagan joints,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
sure he was a go-to.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
It
And
was
once
like,
he got
yeah,
called,
called
right?
him
It's
up
not
right
like
like,
he
hey, I need
wasn't
you to-
like
I need
next
you
in
to-
line.
Yeah,
When he
yeah.
heard the news, he was like, "It's my time."
It's my time to shine, baby.
He was sending news about Frank Langella's proprieties to the studio.
Two people. Yeah.
I
Uh-oh.
heard
He was
he's a little
tempting
handsy.
Frank
Yeah.
Langella,
Look into
sort
it.
of
Yeah.
satanically. He
Yeah.
would stand off in his dressing room.
He's the anonymous source.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bruce
Not
Greenwood.
so anonymous.
He's a big.
Would you?
Not anymore.
Yeah,
No.
now that you outed him.
We've named him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
We're
you?
not friends.
Are you
Captain
interested in
Christopher Pike.
continuing the second half of the show?
Of the, you mean
Yeah.
the
The
first
episode?
The second half of this episode,
Yeah.
and then the further, however many
10
episodes.
stars, one half.
I would say, yes, I would give it 5 stars out of a possible 10. That 5 to be determined later.
So the
I say-
first
yeah,
and half of second act of the first
First
third
episode.
of the first act
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
show,
yeah,
5 stars.
they were, and I
Out
give
of 10.
stars
Out of 10.
Out of 10.
out of 10. Well, I give stars based on the percentage of the show that
when
I've
I
watched.
finish,
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
finish
Yeah,
the second and third act of the first third of the first act of the whole series,
yeah,
10 stars.
exactly. This is a guarantee.
So you're gonna keep with it, you think?
Yeah,
Nailed
in
it.
fact, I was thinking like, oh, I want to watch it when I go home, and I was like, oh, but Tamara might like it, and
Yeah.
and she did express interest in watching
Yeah.
it also. So I was like, oh, now
It's a
She's away.
family
Yeah.
so I might not be able to watch
affair.
the rest of it.
When's she
I'll
coming
finish
home?
this episode
Yeah.
Sunday.
Oh, so
Yeah.
we expect a progress report Monday morning. We've watched
Yeah.
the
About
first
the movie,
episode.
or okay,
I'm just your life.
Yeah. I
yeah.
just want to know what's up.
Tamara's back.
Are you
Yeah.
in?
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. We're
Nice.
gonna, we're gonna
Did
keep
you watch
watching.
with Sam?
Yeah, she's in.
She's in.
She's in.
Great.
I think in perpetuity, because Midnight Mass was successful, I could pitch
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
as
It's a
like,
Flanagan
Mike
house?
Flanagan thing. Yeah.
Nice.
Flanagan.
Nice.
Flanagan thing.
Because it's eerie, it's spooky, it is scary, but it's done in such a grounded kind of realistic way that it doesn't push away viewers. It more
Yeah.
like pulls you in.
Yeah,
You know, like gore pushes away when
Yeah.
it's just gore,
Yeah.
whereas violence in service of the characters that you're
yeah.
entangled with, you're gonna kind of keep going even if it's
Yeah.
disturbing you.
And it's not made to. It's going for something different than a like a Saw or
No,
something
God,
like. You
yeah,
know what I
of
mean?
course.
Like,
I can't wait to watch X.
You know what this is? This
Yeah.
feels like to me, Succession with 100% more murders.
That's fair.
are
Oh
there-
yeah,
are
you
there
know
no
what? I
murders
was
in Succession at all.
No.
I
Okay.
knew the plot of the show, but like the very first scene is a bunch of caskets and pictures. I was like, that's okay. They're all dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dark.
Cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess
you
we're
find
going-
out in the first
I
episode.
guess we're going back in time.
You're
Yeah.
gonna go back in time. All right.
You know, it has a very heightened reality too, which I think makes it more palatable
Mm.
in some ways, where it's a very story-like.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
Well-
even it was immediately reminded that it is a Poe joint.
Yeah.
Because
the rhyming,
yeah,
the rhyming.
the guy who's upstairs, the priest.
Yeah.
Who's giving the eulogy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That guy's using a lot of rhymes.
I assume that is from
Poe,
something that
Of
Poe
course.
actually.
Oh,
wrote.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Speaking of going back in time,
Oh,
I feel like
Did you make a time machine?
maybe there's something else that we watched that is very time travel.
Oh, I
What
see.
is
You're
it?
kicking it off to Loki season 2.
here it comes.
Episodes 1 and 2 is all we watched because that's all that's out.
It's all this out.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
accidentally
you know
misled
what?
you guys. I
Quick
thought it was on
goddamn
Tuesdays.
question.
What is it?
I'm gonna ask this. We're gonna go through it real quick.
Quick.
The 2 shows that we're talking about, very different drops. All 8 episodes of The Fall of the House of Usher dropped.
Yes.
2 episodes of Loki are out. Do you prefer the Netflix binge or do you the weekly must see TV?
I'll tell you what. I like both of those things.
Hmm.
Right. So, for instance, in this particular case, Fall of the House of Usher, I like that it is bingeable. It's not the kind of show that I'm like gonna go talk about with people as it comes out.
Like
right?
4 months from now, if it was still
Well,
going
No,
on.
no,
That's
no.
a-
I mean,
That's a very good point though, because it
Yeah.
is a standalone miniseries.
Right.
You could just absorb it. Whereas a lot of the other like a show like Loki or Ahsoka or the Disney Plus ones, the audience and the fandom that's baked in is very reactionary.
Mm.
So
yeah.
that out for all of us to experience
Yeah.
it is a much better experience than
Yeah.
I was up till 4 a.m. watching the
Right.
whole fucking
And I
season
watched
and
the
let
whole
me tell
thing.
you all about it. Like
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
And I'm
Yeah.
not gonna and like I'm not gonna talk about probably let's say the three of us had finished whatever it was, right? I'm not going to talk as much about something that happened in the middle of episode 2
Right.
as I would if we had only just all seen episode 2.
Right.
You
This
know?
week.
And,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
and you're
understand.
like, well, there was this and that was cool. And I
Yeah.
wonder what's going to happen about this. Whereas there's no, I wonder what's going to happen about this
Yeah.
with a binge show, unless you're kind of feeling out like, what episode are you on?
I like
I only
what-
got to episode 3.
I actually like what Netflix has been trying. They're doing it with The Crown, which I'm not up to date on, and I don't really care. And they did it with Stranger Things, where they do big drops, but in pieces.
Oh, so you get like
So
3
for
episodes.
Stranger Things season 4, it was 5 episodes, and then a month later, the last 3.
Oh, that's right.
So
that's
they
right.
were
I
able
forgot
to
about that.
create, like they kept their model of like large drops, and
Yeah.
people would binge it.
Yeah.
But they kept it in the zeitgeist and the conversation for an extra month by like
that's cool.
prolonging the release of the second half of the
I
season.
kind of like that too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which I thought was
So
like
that's what I'm
as a really
between.
good balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Anyway.
you get a big mass and it's not just 40 minutes a week.
Yeah.
But it spreads it out. Yeah.
Okay, so Loki season 2. The first 2 episodes are available now. Created by Michael Waldron, starring Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson, and Ke Huy Quan. Did I do that right?
Kiwi.
Kiwi.
QA.
Well,
Is that
that's
right?
way better than the way I was saying it. Kiwi?
Kiwi Kwan.
That's a dope ass name, Kiwi Kwan. Loki, the god of mischief, steps out of his brother's shadow to embark on an adventure that takes place after the events of Avengers Endgame.
Okay, there's
It
only
is
one
after
description.
those events.
There's only
Some-
one description, and it
some
was
of it.
for season 1. So
Yeah.
there you go.
So we all watched season 1 of Loki, yes?
I did.
Okay, great.
It was my number 1 Marvel series pick when we
Oh,
did that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think it was my number 2.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it was.
But so were you guys primed? Were you excited for Loki season 2?
I was quite.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was very excited. I'm of most of the Marvel shows, it was the most unique aesthetic and the most
Ugh.
like
Yeah.
it seemed as though it was the one with the least amount of fat.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it was just
It was the most
really
fleshed out
lean,
and it's-
fleshed out show.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot. A
Yeah.
lot, yeah.
I also liked it a lot, but then it dropped and I just kept forgetting to watch it.
Mm.
And I kept
Season
going,
2.
oh yeah, season 2. Like, oh right, season 2 dropped. For some reason, we've been really into the morning show. So finally, I was like, well, we're gonna talk about it this week. Let's catch up on it. And we were riveted.
Oh
We
yeah.
were like, oh, this just kicks off immediately
Yeah.
into some high stakes stuff. The special effect of Loki blipping back and forth
Yeah.
was so gross.
Oh, it's
I loved it.
it was
It's
it's
so
the-
cool.
It is the best explanation to Owen Wilson has this whole thing about like it's really upsetting. I don't want to see it. It's like
Yeah.
you're being born and dying at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah. But I like how it's
And he's
originally
just
he's like,
I'm
It's
so
not
sorry.
that
it's
bad.
not, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
He's like, I do not want to keep watching that. You said it wasn't so bad. I'm like, I lied. It's awful. It was terrible.
It's such a good show. It's
Yeah.
really, really fun.
Yeah.
And
Like-
their back and forth is so great.
Mhm.
Like you were talking about, and you don't it's fully formed at this
Yeah.
point. And we just get it from the beginning, as opposed to the season 1 where it's like their interplay was always fun, but they
Yeah.
were on very opposite sides in the
Yeah,
beginning, you know. And Ouroboros, OB
Yeah,
Oh,
OB
OB's awesome.
is fantastic.
what an excellent addition
So-
to this show.
Yeah.
He's perfect.
Yeah.
Somebody there's a in the first season or in the first episode there is a scene where Loki is time slipping and he has a conversation with OB in the past and the present at the same time.
Yes.
One of
Which
my
I-
favorite scenes
which I
of
thought
both
was great.
seasons.
But then I saw somebody online was like, well, I thought they couldn't do that because of X, Y, and Z established in the Marvel universe
Oh my
with time
God.
travel.
Yeah.
To which
TVA.
I was exactly. I was just
Exactly.
like, yo, bro.
Right.
The TVA exists outside of time and space.
Right.
Take your stupid endgame rules and shove them
Yeah.
up your ass.
And even they
and
were
let's
like,
just enjoy the show.
even they were like, that's crazy. This shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I guess something is up. It was-
Oh,
Even him, he's
and-
like, it's impossible.
right.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I really have to. I'm having trouble reconciling that.
and
Yeah.
because of the things we learned in the last season, we now know that literally everyone at the TVA except OB gets mind wiped on occasion.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand at first him time slipping in and out of the TVA at different times. I was like, that's the past. Why don't they know who he is? Oh, their shit's just been wiped
Yeah.
countless times. No matter like we don't even fucking
I
know.
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I was
And
like,
I
this is such a
definitely-
smart fucking show.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely thought that time had been changed at the end
Yeah,
of season
Me
1.
too, but
right?
no. Yeah.
No, it's just in the past, Kang was more open, or He Who Reigns was more open,
Yeah.
and there may have been others of him.
Yep.
there
Which
too,
that
yeah.
that taking the stick and like
Jamming in the
removing
wall.
Yeah,
because they currently are in a
Facade.
branch.
right.
This is so it's such a
So good.
and what I'm enjoying so far, and I've heard other people complain about this, but I'm actually kind of liking it. The first 2 episodes are meaty as hell. Like they introduce very big things and then seemingly resolve them.
Huh,
Like
yeah,
very quickly.
yeah.
Which
Wow.
I mean,
I haven't finished the second episode.
Oh.
Wait, did I? I must have.
everything
did I?
is resolved. There's no. The rest of them are going to be boring.
Okay, go. The show's over.
well, the main conflict that they introduced in the first episode is all
all
but
of
resolved.
the branches.
all of them are gone.
Oh, okay. Shit, I
Well,
think
and
maybe
also
we
they
forgot to finish the
fixed-
second episode. Shit.
They fix his time
Time slipped
slipping
immediately.
in the first episode.
Well, the time slipping they do, yeah.
yeah.
Which was cool.
Which it's a very confident pace and it's very
Mhm. Yeah.
interesting. It's like
Yeah,
I think lesser shows, or at least less confident shows, would drag some of this shit out. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, we've got a bigger.
We
story
got
to tell.
enough
Let's
stuff.
Go, let's
Yeah.
go. Let's
yeah,
go.
we can
And
get
I
through it all.
really, really like Brad. He is such a piece of shit.
Oh my
Right.
God.
X5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The movie
He is
star.
such a good foil.
And
Where-
also that interrogation scene was wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
awesome. And who is that guy?
I don't
know.
know. Idea.
I've definitely seen him.
He just
right?
showed up out
And
of
I don't know-
nowhere.
Yeah.
Also too, you would enjoy this. So Michael Waldron did write all of season 1.
Uh-huh.
And almost all the episodes were directed by Kate Herron.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 of the 6 episodes this season are directed by Benson and Moorhead. Aaron Benson and Justin Moorhead
I know
of
those names.
Spring, Endless.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
They're like in the Marvel family now.
Hmm.
They
I just
they
started
did-
watching Spring.
They
Or was
did-
it Endless?
That's such a good movie.
Yeah.
They did almost the whole season of Loki. They did like 3 episodes of Moon Knight. They
Oh.
like they're
Oh, they're on their way up. Good for them.
Nice.
very good movies.
Real indie sci-fi
Yeah.
fantasy dudes.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
not sci-fi
Oh,
fantasy,
wait.
horror.
Which of those do you think Brian would like?
I forget which one's which. Which is the one where the 2 guys are just stuck
Resolution.
That's Resolution. I just started watching that. Spring is the one at the camp.
No. Spring is the one in Italy where he falls in love with a monster.
Oh, you're
Oh.
right.
It's a beautiful movie.
It is a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
wow.
Endless is the one at the camp. The cult camp.
They're both very. I think the camp.
The camp one.
Endless.
Endless.
Watch Endless.
Watch
the Endless.
Yeah.
The Endless.
And then they have a couple of other movies that I haven't seen yet.
Raphael Castle is the name of. He's an American writer and rapper.
Hmm.
The guy who played Brad.
What's his rap name?
I'm not sure. Let's see. He was in Blind Spotting, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Wildcat, Bad Education.
Who's this guy?
And
Raphael
the Good
Casal?
Lord
I
Bird.
mean, why are we talking about him? Who
Because you
Brad.
asked
into
who he was.
Loki?
He's Brad.
Oh, he's Brad. Oh,
He's the guy who
okay.
plays Brad.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
I Blind Spotting. I'm very familiar with his face from that.
But anyway, yeah, he was great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was awesome. He had a lot of fun with his
And
interrogation
I
scene.
like he's not wrong. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm gonna go live a life now. Why shouldn't I?
Yeah,
Yeah, Sylvie
what
did
you've
the
been
same thing.
saying
Yeah.
we should do.
I'm very much enjoying it. I'm looking forward to episode 3.
Mhm.
It's apparently too. It's like the only Marvel project so far that has not required reshoots. Like
Really?
they just
Oh, yeah.
they just had a plan and
Yeah,
Did it.
yeah, do it.
maybe because of the strikes they couldn't. But either way, it's like I'm very excited. It's
Yeah.
a tight. It's so far it's a very tight show.
It's the second season of a Marvel show, right?
Yeah.
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 And
Of,
it's
of the Disney Plus era.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh right,
of
right,
course,
right.
of course.
Not Agents of Shield. Or,
Yeah, they completely were just they gave up on Daredevil and just like started from scratch.
Oh yeah, you want to
Yeah.
talk about that real quick?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Not from scratch, but yeah.
yeah. But from what you were saying, Nolan, and what I had read, it sounds like maybe a courtroom drama that Daredevil doesn't show up in as
Until, like, the
Daredevil
episode
for a
4
while.
or something. Yeah.
Like that might have been a good way to go.
I'd watch the
would-
shit
you know,
out of it.
I would have watched. I
Yeah.
actually my only problem with She-Hulk is that I wanted more interesting court drama.
Yeah.
Like or
Yeah.
court dramedy.
funny. Shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and
That's
Like
what I
the
wanted
stuff
to
from
say.
the Dan Slott
Yeah.
courtroom stuff.
Now it could have been great, or it could not have been. It depends. Like, and we'll never know.
I just think it was interesting
know.
that they hired somebody who was like has no experience with court anything, like any sort of courtroom stories.
I don't
This was the
remember who that
original
is.
people or the
The
new
people in She-Hulk. The people
Oh.
who wrote
Oh.
She-Hulk have like
Well, that's
no.
because they were. It was.
And
So
they sure don't
it's
now.
the premise was illegal. It's She-Hulk followed the formula of a sitcom.
Yeah,
It was more of a
Yeah.
sitcom than a legal drama.
yeah,
It was just set place in a law firm.
yeah.
Whereas this sounded like, or this being Daredevil Born Again, sounded like it was he is brought back into the life after completely giving it up
Mhm.
because of his courtroom
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
which takes time to bake. So they were like, this is taking too long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're going to keep some elements and then
Yeah.
refilm the rest.
interesting.
And who knows? It could have been like, we watched it and we were like, oh my God, that was really awesome. And then they just add Daredevil to it and it's great.
Yeah.
Or we could have been like,
Yeah.
when are you gonna get to Daredevil already?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
who
likely
knows?
not going to be anything like I mean, take longer. Who gives a shit? Make it
it
better.
good.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like people who are like, Marvel's in trouble. I'm like, they are only in trouble if they had decided to go with it after not being confident.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not
in
like
trouble.
this sucks.
Yeah,
yeah.
Put it out.
If
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
they're not in trouble if they decided to spend an extra however many
yeah.
tens of millions to
Yeah.
make it something they want more. Like
Yeah.
that's not trouble, dude.
Yeah.
they're
It's
not
doing the work.
they're not hurting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also saw something recently. It was a headline about Quantum Mania. Like, I guess the people at Marvel were surprised that all of the
I
hoopla.
thought it was a banger.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I thought it was a banger.
Yeah.
It
It was
fun.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It's
it's-
as good as
it's
the
a
other
f-
Ant-Man movies, but I think it's actually the best of the Ant-Man
I
movies. but-
disagree with that.
Oh, I think the first
Because
one was
I
good.
think the first two Ant-Man movies were specifically heists,
Yeah,
and Quantumania had nothing. Like he just had to go talk with other versions of himself to get a thing. Like there was no Ocean's 11 coolness
yeah.
right.
kind of
That's a
baked
good
in.
point.
Yeah.
The other
They
two
didn't-
had that.
I didn't miss it.
I do. I always miss
Yeah.
heists. I'm in for a heist.
Just watched Heat.
It's
That's that's a fucking heist.
So I have my own
I
theory
guess
about
it's not because they fail. But go on.
Attempted
Terrible heist. It's attempted heist.
it's a entertaining heist.
Yeah.
I have my own theory about what happened during like phase 4. I do not think phase 4 was terrible. Actually, there's
No.
tons of stuff in there that I
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
like.
I think everyone likes
I
to shit
agree.
on it, but there's tons of great stuff in there.
But I do think Feige attempted to step back more,
Mhm.
and that did not turn out super well.
Yeah.
Like, you've got, let's say, like you've got somebody like Sam Raimi. He knows exactly what he's doing. You give him some notes, he can run with it. So Feige was maybe like less hands-on. But then you also have somebody that's maybe less experienced or wants to do their own thing over here, and he decided to be less hands-on. And then you got a mixed
Yeah.
bag, like Quantumania. And then at the same time, Bob Chapek of Disney, who took over for Iger, pressed about more Disney Plus content.
Yeah.
So we had like 8 shows over like
Yeah.
3 years
Mhm.
and 2 movies.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it changed the alchemy, and everything
Yeah.
had to fit, and everybody was expecting like
Yeah.
a movie when they're watching a TV show
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
it was just a hodgepodge of like none of it's bad, but none of it looks like it did, so it must be trash.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of freaked out.
Shoot, I totally lost what I was going to say. But no, that's a theory.
But
Oh, that's
see-
what it was. I had watched an interview with Scarlet Witch,
Elizabeth Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen, and her experience from filming the Doctor
Madness?
Strange movie
Yeah.
was the changes were so fast and furious that she was like, I don't even want to read these anymore. You just let me know when it's time. You just give me the stuff I'm supposed to say before we're about to shoot it, because it changed so often.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Yeah.
You just tell me right before we're
Well,
shooting.
If you remember, that movie was supposed to come out before Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
it not only changed during filming, it changed after filming, and they
Yeah.
had to change it again in order to fit into a different time slot in
Right.
the whole
Yeah.
continuity of it all.
Yeah.
And then
But
also,
that's because of COVID, right? Do I remember that right?
yes,
Yeah, I thought so.
yeah, because they kept Spider-Man's date,
Yeah.
but then pushed off.
Strange.
Because Sony and blah, blah,
Still
blah.
a fun movie. I like Strange.
Oh,
It was good.
It's fun. Yeah.
I've
It
rewatched.
makes me smile.
I have rewatched it more than a lot of other movies.
Oh,
because
yeah?
it's
Yeah.
so easy to just be
Just
on.
bloop.
Like it is a dumb movie at most
Fights
points.
a kaiju.
I was gonna say it's a dumb movie at like overall it's kind of dumb and cheesy, but you're also like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's charming as hell,
like,
I think.
Zombie, cool. Kaiju, cool. Like it's a
Are
dumb
you
movie. It's
stoned
wonderful.
all the time when you're watching it?
I should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I should be. You're right. That's a good. Yeah.
I should be. Oh, and so when we see stuff like they decided to go back to the drawing board and scrap some film stuff for Daredevil. They've decided to push off this show. They've decided to reduce episodes here and do this here. I see that as all good news.
Yeah.
I do
especially-
not see that as we're struggling
Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
scattering to do like that's just like no, let's clean house. This is fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I see
Everyone
that as good
complains
news.
like, oh, there's too much stuff and I don't care. None of it's any
Yeah.
good anymore and blah, blah, blah. And like, but now you're going to complain that they're trying to, they're canceling some things and they're pushing off some other things
Right
to
the
make
ship.
them better. And you're complaining about that too.
And it's not like this never
Yeah.
happened before. We just hear about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little out of the ordinary, more than a little probably, but I think it probably happened to a lot of shows,
Mhm.
Yeah. They just don't hear about
and
it.
you've never heard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're not under the scrutiny and the
Exactly.
constant 24-hour news outletness of
Right.
Marvel
Marvel or just
Studios.
modern.
Pop
you know,
culture. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. I'm sorry. So, anything you guys want to say about Loki that we didn't say? I think it's
wonderful.
awesome. It's a banger. It's off to a great
Yeah.
start. I'm just involved as I was the last season.
And it could
Um,
easily have been because season 1 had its own distinct story to tell, and it did tell it, and
Mm.
then that led into some major stuff
Yeah.
in the overall Marvel universe. So it could have been that this second season was like, oh, we don't know what's going on
Yeah.
anymore, and it's not, because a lot of shows that have a really cool first season because
Yeah.
they tell one story don't have as cool of
Oh, of
second
cour-
or
yeah,
more
yeah.
seasons. And
Sophomore
so-
slump.
yeah, and they lost their like raison d'etre.
Yeah.
And I had heard people say, articles or whatever were like, oh, critics say it's not as good,
Yeah.
right? Or this one doesn't have the magic. It's not good. And I watched it and I was like, oh, great, this was awesome.
Yeah.
They were
it's
totally
really
wrong
fun.
about this.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
More so, a lot of the Disney Plus shows have seemed, actually, other than Loki, even Loki too, though, they've just been platforms for the next movie.
Hmm.
So, like the Captain and Winter Soldier show was just a lead into the new Captain America movie that's coming out next year. Miss Marvel was just a lead into
Yeah.
Marvel's.
I guess Moon Knight wasn't, but either way, like Loki was the first one that kind of set up the introduction of the king of it all, and this one seems as though it seems important. The
Yeah.
show itself seems
It seems
important
like something that,
and not
that
superfluous.
exactly.
Yeah.
And in a way that's like, oh, you're telling your own story, but that is important in the larger
Mhm.
story. So it kind of avoids in both ways. Some complaints about other Marvel stuff where it's some people complain that they don't have anything to do with each other or that they are just lead-ins for something else. And Loki manages to
It's a bit of both.
be its own story and not, have much to do with everything else, except one of the most important things that's coming up.
Yeah.
And it's not just leading into it, it's telling an
Yeah.
important
For-
interest there,
yes, for
Yeah.
example, the end of season 1 introduced Kang, and
Yeah.
but that didn't only have it had ramifications for season 2 of Loki, not ramifications for Quantumania.
Right.
Actually, they're not even connected at all.
You know,
just
it's
so
funny,
much. The
You wouldn't even
character.
have to. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
not at
you don't have
all.
to
They
know.
couldn't.
But that's
Yeah.
that's like a.
But I like
wonderful
that I know.
balancing act.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. It's for people who
Yeah.
haven't seen it, I'm like,
And it's you're a
I'm
real
better
jerk
than
about
you.
it.
oh, I'm a real prick.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And other people are like, I didn't see any of those movies. I
You're
don't,
like,
I don't know what you are talking about. But a lot of people complain about Quantumania also, that they say, oh, this is the introduction to Kang, but he was defeated so easily this time. And one, I didn't think that was a problem at all because the thing is, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's not that just one Kang.
Right, and he's one of the lesser Kangs.
Yeah, he's a little guy. He's
right,
a little guy.
He was very small in the movie.
Wait, wasn't he like the best Kang? No, he was.
No, he was stranded.
He was the he was the shittiest Kang that they stranded.
No, I think that was the deal. Like he was a massive threat, so they put it. But any Kang is going to be a massive threat. Yeah,
that's kind of his whole thing.
Yeah, he's the Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
So he wasn't introduced in that, right? He was introduced in Loki, where
and he also got died. He got died.
He got died in it. By the end.
That's the. I think that's the primary difference between Kang in the comics and Kang in the movies. In the movies, it is time and space, but multiverse.
Yeah.
So it's multiple versions of. In the comics, it is the same person at different points in his timeline.
But
multiverse. And he keeps relooping back and forth that there are multiple versions of him at one time at a lot of points.
Yeah. But there's the Council of Kangs too, or the whatever of. Kangs.
But I thought it was just different time points of Kangs, not different multiverses
like
of
Immortus
Kangs.
and Ramata.
That's
those are different points in 616's
Iron
Kang, Iron Lad, in 616's Kang's
Did you read
life.
Ultimate Invasion?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cute. What time is it?
9:30. We gotta go.
We're done.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Anyway, it was great, and he was introduced in that, and he set himself up as the head of all time.
Yeah,
cutting off trillions of other universes, and it's like, no, that was your introduction.
Yeah.
To the idea of the character that we will see.
The shittiest.
People just have a
best
myopic
Kang?
view of it, I think, until maybe it's explained a little better. I don't know.
Well, tell them. I'll explain it to them.
Go to brianliebdesign.com and he will explain to you Kang.
Yeah, and I mean, you could write me an email. I'm not there. That's not like a live
I don't understand
stream.
how the internet works.
Okay.
Like they just can't type it in and see you and just talk to you while you're like pooping.
No, I'm not always pooping, for one thing.
I mean,
you're always pooping here.
Yeah.
He's sitting on he brings a bidet.
Yeah. And I don't even use it.
What? It's a bidet. It's a bidet attached to a porta potty.
It's a bedpan, I think he's trying to
It's
say.
a bedpan.
It's a bidet pan.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Think about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Noah, where can they find you?
You can find me here every Wednesday evening, and or Fresh Floppies, which is a podcast we do every week about new comics that are coming out.
Yeah. Sure. Was there a new comic that came out that you're very excited about besides
we didn't get a chance to record today. What did I read that
Superior Spider-Man?
Was decent.
Okay.
The special,
number one.
Yeah, it was basically a Superior Spider-Man #1 special was basically just a recap of all Superior Spider-Man.
Oh god,
the series.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's a new telling of it. It was a catch up, and then like setting up the series. So it was fine. Cool. Godzilla, Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Read it.
That does sound fun. Yeah, I have my copy.
It was dumb. It was great.
I ordered in there's variant covers for Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong that roar at you. There's a King Kong. I believe there's like a button you press and maybe it roars at you.
You think it's some kind of electronic?
I think it's like the old like greeting card.
Oh,
when you open it up, that's what I would picture.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
And I ordered 4 copies of each, one for Kong, 4 for Godzilla, and they don't come in until like next month.
What the hell?
Isn't that weird? They got pushed. Yeah.
It's not roaring season.
Yeah. Right.
What's the retail value of those? Like,
it's stalking deaf women season.
Is that like $12.99, $13.99? I'm sure they upcharge that, right? Little electronic boy. I mean, it's worth it.
But anyway, if you want a copy of that, email me and I'll put one aside for you.
It's straight up worth it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we will chat at you later.
Do.